Crisis proofing your life. Pre-crisis mode versus crisis mode. Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brienne. So recently I heard about this older couple who are selling their house in preparation for the crisis mode of getting older, whether it's the loss of one spouse or the other, whether it's sickness, whether it's just old age. So they decided to sell their house that they had lived in for a long time. Now, their house was a very nice house and could be easily accommodated for them as they got older. But for whatever reason, they chose to make that change and get a different house. They rented a house from someone else in the meantime while they're trying to sell their house. And so it gets a little bit more complicated as they go this journey. Now, I understand their reasons for doing it. They're anticipating getting old. They're possibly anticipating one of them getting sick or both getting sick. And they don't want the responsibility of a slightly larger house than what they just moved into, the rental. And so they're working on selling it. Now, do I think that that is the best move? I don't know. Everyone has their own reasons for doing things. I know other people that stay in their home and chill all the way, and they do perfectly fine as well. But I do think that some people go into pre-crisis mode. That means they anticipate a crisis ahead, and so they do everything they can to either avoid it or be prepared for when that crisis comes. And I think overall that can be a very smart decision to do, providing you do it right. If you do it wrong, you can end up making a mess of things, and or maybe that crisis never really comes and you're left there maybe where you really don't want to be. So I think it's really important the decisions that a person makes after or in pre-crisis mode are decisions that if the crisis doesn't happen, they're still going to be happy with their decision. And, some people just simply wait on a crisis to happen and they have no idea what they'll do when a crisis happens. They're not prepared and things can be a mess. And then you have the people that have a general overall way of preparation for any crisis that comes along. Some crises we can't anticipate, some we can anticipate. They may or may not happen. The ones that we can't anticipate are usually more difficult to get through because we didn't anticipate them. We weren't prepared for that specific kind of crisis. But I think if we are prepared for crises in general, often we can get through them better. If we have a stable job, if we've saved some money, if we're in good health, if we know where we're going to live, if we have a good support system of friends and family, if we know the right people to call, those things in themselves can often help us navigate through just about any kind of crisis. It's kind of a general overall way of handling crisis. Now, pre-crisis mode is more of specifying the crisis that you think that may come about. And so you get prepared for that particular crisis, like the older couple who are selling their house and moving into a smaller house. They're anticipating old age, maybe losing one of them, getting sick, whatever. And so, but what happens if they live another 20, 30 years? Are they going to be happy where they live? Are they going to have to move again from the rental house into one that they buy? Because, when you rent a house, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to live there forever. And so I think that if you are going to go into pre-crisis mode and anticipate a crisis and try to get ready for it, you need to make right decisions that are right for the crisis, but also right if the crisis doesn't happen or if the crisis takes a different turn, that you're going to be happy with the results that you have. If you decide not to prepare for a specific crisis, but you decide to go into a general preparation of having a solid base in your life and people to call, and you've got enough finances tucked away in case that job disappears for some reason, or maybe you need time off from work to deal with something for a crisis, you have that money tucked away. There are general things that people can do to make it easier to get through a crisis. Like I said, having a good support system will often help get through a crisis. Having finances set away will often help get through a crisis. Taking care of your health, you're stronger, you're more resilient. You can get through a crisis easier when you're healthy than if you're not so healthy. And so it just depends upon the kind of crisis that we're talking about. And then the people that don't prepare for crisis tend to not do as well through a crisis simply because they had no preparation for it and they had no foundation to stand on during a crisis. So it can be a more challenging, difficult time. But whichever one of the three you fit into, whichever category, crises are usually never anything that we welcome. And it takes skill and navigation often to get through them, a good support system or people that can help us get through it. And when you're going through a crisis, you've just got to keep your faith and keep holding on that you will get through it. Most people, if they've lived long enough, go through a crisis or many crises in life. It's just the way life is. And there's different kinds of crises, crises probably range from A to Z in the kind of crises that there are in life. But I think if we have a general crisis preparation plan in place, often it will help us navigate through any crisis that comes about. Okay, well, from my house to yours, may God bless you. I hope you like, share, subscribe, and I hope to talk to you soon again. Bye-bye.